This story is titled, I Gave My Sister a Job at My Café Out of Pity. She called the cops on me after I told her to stop giving free muffins to her spiritual boyfriend. She wanted to burn sage to cleanse the negativity. I cleansed the payroll. Now she's on Reddit calling me a corporate monster. Let me paint you a picture. I own a little cafe. Hardwood floors, local art, oat milk upcharges. The kind of place where people pretend to write novels but really just scroll TikTok in public. It's my baby, my pride and joy, my mortgage-paying latte machine. And then there's my sister, Tara. Tara, 30F, is, how do I say this nicely? You know those people who get really into astrology and then use it to justify tax fraud? That's Tara. Her last job was energy coach, which I'm 98% sure means she got paid to stare at people and hum. She calls herself an empath, which in Tara speak means, I feel other people's emotions, and also I'm entitled to the last slice of cake. She floated into my cafe 6 months ago like a scarf in the wind. Literally, she was wearing one of those gauzy purple things that makes people look like they're on their way to a community drum circle. She was crying, obviously. Her latest gig, a smoothie bar attached to a yoga studio that somehow also sold CBD pet shampoo, had misaligned with her frequency, which I later learned meant she got fired for showing up 2 hours late because time is a capitalist illusion. And because I am weak, and she is family, I hired her. Not as manager, not even barista. Just front counter, take orders, smile at the customers, maybe don't hand them change laced with existential dread. I figured, how hard could it be? Spoiler, extremely hard. Borderline apocalyptic. For the first week, Tara insisted on rearranging the crystal display at the register to better channel abundance. I didn't even know we had crystals. Turns out she brought her own. Then she tried to rename our signature espresso blend to Awaken Bean. The customers didn't know what hit them. One guy asked for a macchiato and got a lecture about caffeine's role in suppressing the third eye. But it wasn't until he showed up that things went nuclear. Enter Jasper, Tara's spiritual boyfriend. I say boyfriend, but I'm not entirely sure he knows they're dating. He just kind of appears whenever there's incense burning or a full moon. Jasper wears no shoes, ever, believes deodorant is government mind control, and once told me I had dense ancestral trauma after I asked him not to sit on the pastry case. The problem? Tara started giving him free food. Muffins are just a symbol of material generosity, she explained when I caught her handing him a warm blueberry bomb straight from the display. No. Muffins are $3.75 and I pay rent. I told her, once, politely, that she couldn't just hand out baked goods to anyone who rubbed a crystal on their third eye and called it divine communion. She blinked at me like I was the crazy one. That was Monday. By Friday, she was calling the cops on me. So Friday started off deceptively normal, if you ignore the fact that Tara was already at the cafe when I arrived, barefoot and lighting sage like she was about to perform an exorcism on the espresso machine. Just cleansing the space, she said, waving smoke toward the register with a peacock feather. The espresso grinder told me it's been feeling spiritually compressed. I asked her to please open a window before someone called the fire department or passed out from whatever ghost she was trying to gas out of my bean shelf. She rolled her eyes, muttered something about me vibrating at a hostile frequency, and went back to her little ritual like this was totally standard barista behavior. Then Jasper showed up, in a poncho, carrying a goddamn didgeridoo. I brought sound healing, he said. I stared at him for a full 3 seconds and replied, this is a cafe, not a drum circle at Burning Man. And we serve scones, not sonic enlightenment. He blinked at me with that smug, performative peace stare, like he was trying to spiritually outpatience me. I told him to sit outside. He laid down on our patio furniture and started doing breathwork instead. Inside, Tara had already handed him a muffin. 2, actually. 1 blueberry, 1 lemon poppy seed. Unpaid. Again. That's when I finally snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. I just walked over, took the muffins out of Jasper's calloused, unwashed hands, and said, you do not work here. You do not pay here. You do not eat here. Please go vibrate somewhere else. Jasper, bless his blissed out heart, responded with, this is why your root chakra's blocked. You're clinging to scarcity mindset. My root chakra? I am clinging to rent, Jasper. The scarcity mindset is what happens when my supplier invoices me $412 for fair trade flour and your girlfriend decides muffins are currency for enlightenment. Tara stormed into the kitchen, demanding to have a conversation about the oppressive energy of capitalism. I told her, calmly, that if she gave away one more item without charging, she'd be off the schedule. Her response? Maybe your energy is what needs to be cleansed. Then she walked out, full slow-mo, movie scene exit, and 30 minutes later, the police showed up. No, really. Apparently, Tara told them I physically intimidated her during a workplace dispute. I'm 5'9", mildly anemic, and the only thing I was holding at the time was a half-frosted cupcake tray. But two very confused officers still had to stand in my cafe, next to a man playing the didgeridoo, while I explained that this was not, in fact, an active crime scene, just a highly dysfunctional brunch. They left after 5 minutes and told me, verbatim, "We're so sorry. We've been here before." For the kombucha thing. Of course they had. I closed early. I called payroll. I took Tara off the schedule. And that's when the Reddit post dropped. So I'm on my couch Saturday morning, half asleep, trying to emotionally process the fact that I now apparently own a cafe haunted by vibes and legally questionable relatives, when Emma, my best friend/chaos translator, texts me. "Dude, your sister is trending on Reddit." I opened the link, and there it was, top of her /anti-work, a 900-word screed titled, "I got fired for being too spiritual at my corporate cafe job. My boss is also my brother." She called me a capitalist enforcer, claimed I violently seized muffins from a peaceful guest, said I had control issues rooted in patriarchal family dynamics, and, I kid you not, that my cafe was built on stolen ancestral land and wheat. There was a photo, too. Me, holding a tray of cupcakes, mid-eye roll, looking like I was about to verbally slap a ghost. She filtered it to make me look paler and added sparkles around Jasper like he was the mystical victim of a muffin raid. The comments were unhinged. Ugh, another greedy cafe bro gatekeeping abundance. He should be paying her for emotional labor. Burn the place down. But with lavender. That's why I only eat at co-ops run by ethically sourced raccoons. Within an hour, my Yelp page had 3 new 1-star reviews from people who had clearly never been within 100 miles of my cafe. One of them read, "The owner exudes dark masculine energy. Muffins tasted like emotional trauma." Another just said, "Hexing this place on the next full moon. Don't go during Pisces season." Meanwhile, my actual employees, the ones who show up, do their jobs, and don't smudge the espresso machine with Palo Santo, are texting me stuff like, "Is this about the Sage Girl? Hey, can I still wear crystals, or is that canceled now?" Tara, of course, wasn't responding to my texts. But she was on Twitter, posting things like, "When your own blood throws you out for trying to heal the community with carbs and intention, #spiritual work is work, #muffingate, #support empaths." She had merch. T-shirts that said, "Cleanse the cafe. Fire the patriarchy." And yes, someone bought one. I know because she posted a selfie in it holding one of my muffins. Someone must have Instacarted it just to participate in the ritual. So I did what any reasonable cafe owner would do. I turned off comments, changed my business hours to closed for vibe fumigation, and started planning a counteroffensive. Because if this was war, I wasn't just going to sit there and get spiritually carpet-bombed by my own bloodline. By Sunday morning, I wasn't running a cafe anymore. I was running a war zone with banana bread. My inbox had over 100 new emails. Yelp was in full meltdown. Someone created a Google Doc titled "Cafes to Boycott for Crimes Against Empaths" and listed my shop with a note, "May have committed energetic violence via scone." But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the healing protest. It started as a Facebook event, created by Tara, obviously. It was called "Reclaiming Sacred Muffin Space, a Non-Violent Gathering of Light Beings." The header image was Jasper, shirtless in front of a dream catcher, holding a muffin like it was the Holy Grail. The description read, "Join us as we dance, drum, and spiritually reclaim the cafe space that was unjustly taken from a healer of the heart. Bring your own muffins. Bonus points if they're gluten-free, ancestral, or charged under moonlight. Sparkles, cyclone sparkles." I laughed, until people started RSVPing. By noon, 74 people had confirmed. By 4 p.m., someone from BuzzFeed emailed me. Subject line, "Would you like to comment on the muffin controversy?" I ignored it. I still had a business to run. Except now, I was running it behind locked doors while 2 girls with nose rings and a ring light filmed a TikTok dance in front of my storefront to some remix of "You Don't Own Me." Inside, my regulars were trying to sip lattes while avoiding eye contact with a guy outside burning God knows what in a mason jar. The smell? Somewhere between graveyard and oregano. One of my baristas, Dan, leaned over the counter and whispered, "Do we get hazard pay for interpretive dance mobs?" I told him if anyone made eye contact for more than 10 seconds, he could go home early. Then Jasper showed up again, this time in a flowing white tunic with "Let the Muffins Heal" written across the chest in marker. He pressed his face against the glass, eyes closed, hands up, like he was channeling spirits through the window. "I release this space from fear," he said, loudly. To no one. I opened the door an inch and said, "If you lick the glass again, I'm calling the real cops, not the vibe police." He looked deeply hurt, like I just run over his chakra with my car. By Monday morning, the story had somehow hit TikTok's Discover page. A food blogger reposted it with the caption, "When your sister turns your cafe into a cult and you're just trying to sell muffins." For million views. The comments were chaos. Rose Cafe is haunted with unhealed trauma and I am living for it. Team Tara. Spiritual labor matters. Period. I bet his coffee's bitter like his aura. Petition to put the muffins in therapy. Emma came by that afternoon with donuts and a fire extinguisher, just in case. She stood in the doorway, looked at the protesters holding up "Free the Muffins" signs, and said, "This is the most aggressively Gen Z thing I've ever seen." I nodded. I'm scared. Then, right on cue, Tara walked up with her iPhone recording and a tambourine in her hand. That was the final straw. I locked the door, flipped the sign, and pulled out my laptop. If she wanted a public battle, I was going full espresso-fueled scorched earth. I didn't want to do it. Really. I tried to be the bigger person. I tried to let it slide. I even let the girl in the Hex the Patriarchy hoodie film a TikTok interpretive dance in front of my Today's Special board without charging her a location fee. But Tara had crossed the line from weird to weaponized. She was now live streaming herself outside my cafe every morning, talking about how I'd emotionally colonized her healing journey and calling me the gluten warden. So I did what any older sibling with a Wi-Fi connection and years of repressed rage would do. I opened Google Drive, and I uploaded everything. Screenshots of her work schedule showing 15 missed shifts in 6 weeks. Photos of muffin inventory logs with handwritten notes from my staff like, "Tara gave away 4 more healing muffins today." My personal favorite was a text she sent me in January that read, "Sorry I was late. I was meditating about clocks." All compiled into one glorious PDF titled, "Chronicles of Muffin Misconduct, a Sister's Descent into Pastry Anarchy." Then I posted it, right on the same subreddit she used to nuke my business. Title: AITA for firing my sister for giving away free muffins to her shoeless boyfriend and trying to smudge the espresso machine with sage. Within 3 hours, it had 12,000 upvotes. Reddit flipped faster than a gluten-free pancake. Top comment? NTA. She spiritually shoplifted muffins and emotionally assaulted brunch. Another favorite. She gave her boyfriend free food and then called the cops when she got fired? That's not spiritual awakening. That's economic psychosis. Then came the DMs. Baristas. Cafe owners. Literal witches. People telling me, "Thank you for standing up for boundary setting," and "My cousin did the same thing with kombucha and now we don't talk." One woman messaged me, "As an actual empath, I can confirm your sister is full of sage-scented ****. And the best part? Someone dug up Tara's Etsy store. Yes, she sells moon-cleansed bathwater in mason jars and left a review that just said, "Tastes like manipulation. 0 stars." By Tuesday, her protest was down to 3 people and a golden retriever in a tie-dye bandana. Jasper didn't even show. Probably off vibrating in a field somewhere. Or maybe he finally got a real job. Unlikely. Tara posted a final video, looking exhausted and holding a broken tambourine. She said she was taking a break from social media to rebalance her soul and mourn the capitalist decay of siblinghood. "I just wanted to sell muffins, man." Now I was the face of spiritual boundary enforcement and small business trauma recovery. I reopened the cafe fully on Wednesday. Dan made a new sign for the tip jar. "Tips help us recover from muffin-related cult activity. Bless." And Emma made me a custom apron that says "Corporate Monster" in Gothic font. It's my favorite thing I own. So things had finally started to calm down. Yelp restored my rating. The sage residue had mostly aired out. Customers were trickling back in cautiously, like someone checking if a raccoon was still in the attic. And then, on Friday, Tara came back. Not to apologize. Not even to acknowledge that she tried to turn my cafe into a crystal-powered commune with a pastry budget. No. She came back with Jasper. And a business proposal. They walked in like they were on Shark Tank, hippie edition. Jasper was wearing a vest with no shirt underneath and holding a folder made out of recycled Whole Foods bags. Tara had a twinkle in her eye that made my soul preemptively shut down. "I think," she said, "we should franchise." Franchise. As in, replicate the cafe she tried to hex. With what money? Sage coins? Lavender IOUs? She explained, and I'm not joking, that they wanted to open a sister cafe called The Third Sip. It would be like your place, she said, but without the corporate oppression. No registers, no pricing, just suggested donations and energy exchanges. So basically, a vibe potluck with oat milk. Then Jasper chimed in. Money is a limiting construct. People should pay with intention or poetry. I wrote a haiku that bought me a sandwich yesterday. I asked them, very calmly, to leave before I started charging rent for occupying my airspace. They left, but not before Tara slipped a piece of paper into the tip jar. Later, I fished it out. It was a flyer. Opening soon, the third sip, where muffins are medicine. And then, the real bomb dropped. One of my part-timers, Hannah, pulled me aside. She looked nervous. I wasn't going to say anything, she said, but now that she's trying to open a knockoff cult cafe, I think you should know. Turns out Tara hadn't just been giving muffins to Jasper. She'd been giving out bags of beans. Specialty coffee. My top shelf, ethically sourced, $1.28, a-pound beans. At first just little scoops for energy readings, but then whole damn bags. Like party favors for her healing circle. How many? We don't even know. But let's just say the storage closet inventory looked like it had been spiritually looted. I checked the security camera footage. Guess who's in the back room 3 different times with a tote bag and zero shame? She didn't just give away muffins. She shoplifted my future. 1 scoop at a time. And the final insult? She posted a TikTok thanking her community for the support in donating ingredients for the third sip. One of the bags of beans in the background had my logo on it. That's when I snapped. I reported the TikTok for unauthorized commercial use. I emailed Etsy and had her Sage Synod Empire temporarily suspended for fraudulent branding. And I sent her a Venmo request for $812.40. Memo line, muffin restitution plus bean theft damages. She declined it, then publicly called me a money parasite, which, honestly, would be a sick band name if I weren't already deep in cafe-themed legal trauma. So now, we're going legal. Dan's cousin is a lawyer. She's drafting a cease and desist. Because if Tara thinks I'm going to let her open a mystical muffin laundromat using my beans, my branding, and my trauma, she's got another chakra coming. The cease and desist went out Monday morning. Official letterhead, signature from Dan's cousin Meg, a lawyer who once described herself as passionately petty, and legal phrasing so sharp it might have pierced Tara's aura before she even opened it. Subject line: unauthorized use of branding, theft of goods, and general cosmic delusion. I almost printed it on lavender paper. You know, for the vibes. Tara didn't respond. Not directly. But 43 minutes later, she posted another TikTok. This one filmed from inside a tent, surrounded by wind chimes, while she sobbed gently to ambient flute music. Caption: when your own blood threatens your art and your muffins. But the moon sees me. Hashtag free the third sip, hashtag legal oppression, hashtag root chakra lawyered. It got 12 likes. Half of them were burner accounts she's probably managing from a thrifted iPad. The backlash wasn't immediate. It was worse. It was apathetic. Her moment had passed. The internet had moved on. TikTok was back to emotionally unstable cats and people narrating their divorces over Taylor Swift songs. Nobody cared about muffin martyrs anymore. And that's when I did something ruthless. I texted Kelsey. Kelsey, for context, is Tara's ex-best friend and former cosmic business partner. They had a falling out last year over whether Reiki should be offered to pets without consent. I wish I were joking. Kelsey is grounded in the way only a burned-out spiritualist with a resentment complex can be. I found her number in an old group chat and texted, "Hey, you still in touch with Tara?" She responded 5 minutes later. Absolutely F ***ing not. Why? Asterisk. I explained the muffin war, the cult cafe, the bean theft. I included screenshots. She sent back a voice memo of her laughing so hard she had to wheeze. Then came her follow-up. You want me to end it? I didn't say yes. But she knew. By Tuesday, Kelsey had posted a 6-minute expose on her Instagram stories. No names, of course, but the captions were devastating. Reminder, not all healers are ethical. Some just steal your beans and your boyfriend. I once saw a girl try to sage a fridge full of dairy milk and then scream at it for being energetically closed off. Being spiritual doesn't mean being a sociopath with a crystal budget. Tara lost it. She DM'd Kelsey, then texted me in all caps. Did you send her after me? I replied with a single image, the Venmo request. She blocked me. Later that night, I got an email from an account named ThirdSipMovement@protonmail.com that said, "We are shutting down operations to refocus our collective energies. Thank you for believing in muffin freedom," which I'm pretty sure is hippie code for, "we ran out of other people's money." I framed the cease and desist and hung it in the back office above the muffin rack, then added a label beneath it that reads, "In memory of the Great Muffin Uprising, 2023 to 2024. And me? I finally exhaled. The cafe was calm. No more sage. No more spiritual boyfriends. Just normal customers ordering normal coffee and paying with money, not intention. But right when I thought it was over, one more surprise came in the mail. The envelope was thick, off-white, hand-addressed in calligraphy, like it had either been blessed or cursed depending on what direction the moon was spinning that week. Return address? My mother. Now, let's pause here. My mom has been blissfully silent during the Great Muffin Crisis. She lives 2 states away, does yoga over Zoom, and once told me Tara just needs more magnesium. Classic passive peacekeeper. She loves us both, which is to say she refuses to choose a side unless someone dies or forgets her birthday. So when I opened that letter and found a 2-page, single-spaced manifesto, I knew it was serious. It started with, I am writing this not as a mother, but as a woman caught between 2 passionate forces of the universe. Oh boy. The letter was 40% quotes from Brené Brown, 30% pleased to restore the energetic harmony of the family, and 30% absolutely unhinged neutral commentary like, your sister meant well when she called the police. She just felt unheard. Unheard? She tried to exorcise my espresso machine. There was also this gem. Jasper may be barefoot, but he walks in truth. I stared at that sentence for 10 full minutes. Then I turned the page over. Attached, stapled, aggressively, was a printout of Tara's GoFundMe. Yes, a new one. Title: Help Us Rebuild. Spiritual Café Destroyed by Capitalist Brother. Goal: $11,111. Because of course it had to be numerologically aligned. The description? Wild. Said I financially sabotaged a female-owned safe space, and that they needed funds for a new espresso cauldron, a patio moon garden, and rent for a storefront with a higher frequency. My mom's note at the bottom read, maybe consider donating a small amount to show goodwill. The family needs healing. I didn't even get mad. I just laughed. Long and loud. The kind of laugh that comes from the soul and maybe a little bit from chronic caffeine damage. Because here's the thing, this whole saga taught me something. Something deep. Something real. You can love your family. You can support them, feed them, even give them a job when they've got sage in one hand and vibes in the other. But eventually, you gotta draw the line at bean theft and moon-funded smear campaigns. So I didn't donate to the GoFundMe. Instead, I left a comment under her latest healing update post that just said, Namaste, Tara. But no, I haven't heard from her since. Which, honestly, is the most peaceful my root chakra has ever felt. The cafe's thriving again. No protests. No tambourines. No unpaid muffins floating out the front door in the name of vibrational outreach. And on slow days, I glance up at the framed cease and desist above the muffin case and smile. Because sometimes the best closure comes not from forgiveness, but from legally enforced distance and a lawyer named Meg who doesn't around with spiritual nonsense.